And now I want to introduce you to our next session, which is about gamification in the enterprise. It's hard to really think about the enterprise in a way that doesn't, at some level, involve Microsoft. And so, as a sort of broad kind of theme and concept, it's obvious that we would want, Microsoft to be involved. And then it turns out that Microsoft actually has been an innovator in gamification in the enterprise. So in addition to just like thinking enterprise and Microsoft together, Microsoft actually innovates here. And it's one of those it's one of those moments where everything comes together. And so we're very, very fortunate to have Sarah Faulkner here from Microsoft to talk about Ribbon Hero and the enterprise at Microsoft and gamification. So a little bit about Sarah. She's a program manager with Office Labs. And that's the arm of Microsoft Office that tests new ideas by building prototypes, researching, and developing new concepts. And she's very closely aligned with her latest big release, which is Ribbon Hero 2, which is all about teaching users of Microsoft Office the new features in a fun and motivating way. And so I'm very, very pleased to introduce to you Sarah Faulkner.
Well, it looks like I got the after lunch nap session, so I'll try to keep you guys awake. Thank you for the introduction. As was said, my name is Sarah Faulkner. I'm a program manager at Microsoft with Office Labs, and we are a group that likes to explore emerging trends and research to see how we can incorporate that into Office's products and experiences. And I'm here today to talk about one of my group's forays into gamification with the product Ribbon Hero. Our lab got interested in gamification in early 2009. And it's a fun conversation to have. How would you gamify Office? And we approached gamification a little bit differently than I think most folks do, because we wanted to explore gamification, and then we were just looking around for a problem in our space to solve. Whereas I think most people start with a problem and find gamification as a solution. So our early brainstorms were, what kind of problems can we solve in Office? And someone said, what if we can make learning Office as fun as playing Angry Birds? Really, what if we could? What if I could have fun, and then I could get that investment back in terms of increased productivity, go home earlier, and be able to play more games? What if I spend 5 minutes having fun, but I get that investment back in increased productivity? So that was the early charter for Ribbon Hero. We wanted to create an experience that teaches people Office features and that people would use proactively, or that it's fun. So we really wanted to create a game that increased the user's productivity in Office. As Gabe said, we released our second version, our latest iteration of Ribbon Hero 2 in May of 2011. And I want to give you guys a quick look at that before I delve into the details of how our team approached gamification. And since I don't have my computer here to do a live demo, I'm going to let one of my colleagues do it in this quick video clip. Starts automatically on a PC.
Sorry, is there a video?
Yeah. Is it not going to work?
Apologies for that. Yeah, I guess. The movie's not playing. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I can wing it.
Apologies for that.
That's all right. So I have a fantastic demo of Ribbon Hero. Thank you. So a quick overview of Ribbon Hero 2. It actually takes place in the Office applications. The user can launch it by clicking on the button in the far right, and it brings them into a very colorful game board, which luckily I have images of later on in my presentation. And the user can click on different icons that will actually pull them back into the Office applications, and then they complete tasks. These different icons they click on, they hide things called challenges. And so where the user will go in and they'll have to, for example, in a Knights versus Dragons challenge, they'll have to get the knight in PowerPoint to run at the dragon using PowerPoint animations. And I'll talk a little bit more to give you a better idea about Ribbon Hero as we go and as I have screenshots of it. we design a game for productivity? Well, our first step was to gather expertise. And we needed two types of expertise. The first was expertise in the problem we were trying to solve. As a team in Office, we felt pretty good, pretty comfortable that we understood Office, and we had a lot of data about how people were using Office. So we felt pretty good there. But the second type of expertise that we know we needed was in game design. As it turned out, designing a game is a lot different than designing other types of software, and we didn't want it to turn out just like Word. And unfortunately, Office doesn't often hire people for their game design expertise. But Microsoft does. So we headed down the road to the brilliant game designers in Microsoft Game Studios, and they were only too excited to see what we could do together. Secretly, I think they just wanted to get their hands in the Office code base, but it was a win-win for both teams. So the first thing that our game design mentors told us to do was to brainstorm broadly. We had a rather abstract vision of creating a game that makes people more productive, and we didn't want to narrow down and pick one idea or one solution immediately. In fact, we spent 6 weeks staying right there, having no idea what we were going to do, but creating hundreds and hundreds of paper prototypes. Instead of getting buried in all of these different these piles of paper, all these different ideas, we needed to start making decisions about what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And to do that, we had to take it to the users themselves, because only the user knows best. So we ran almost all of our prototypes by users. And since we had hundreds of prototypes, we had to do this every day. One of my coworkers had a cowbell, for some reason, in the office. And so we took to ringing the cowbell through the halls of our office building to call people to our game room and try out the latest ideas of the day. And those unfortunate people who didn't live within earshot of the daily cowbell got a virtual cowbell over email. So we pulled people from across Microsoft to come and try out our ideas. And we did something called playtesting with them, which is quite simply having them play through the game on our paper prototypes. And we wanted to learn 3 things. First is, does the user understand the UI? We'd point to the points graph or to the progress bar, and we would see if the user understood our high-level design. Were we on the right track there? And second, what would the user do? We would have them say, we would tell them, click on what you would click on, and we'd have the next screen right there ready to lay down and see how they progress through the game. And third, and most importantly, is this game fun? As the game developers ourselves, we were in the thick of things, and we didn't have the ability to really gauge what was fun or not. A really good example of this, when we moved into the code prototype phase, there's at the end of, which would have showed you in the demo, but at the end of the challenge, there's this fanfare, and these balloons stream up from the bottom of the screen to the top. And I know it sounds ridiculous, and that's what I thought when one of our developers went off and ad hoc added this to the prototype. But in the true nature of testing everything with users, we put it in front of real users, and they loved it. And to this day, every time I demo Ribbon Hero, that's the part of the game that elicits laughs and smiles. So it's really hard to gauge fun inside your room designing the game. You really need to get that information from real users. And then once you find the fun, you need to converge on that. So we started, we took all of the feedback that we got out of the 6-week period of prototyping, and then we started to build, make decisions on ideas, and we started to build higher fidelity mocks. So instead of our chicken scratch on paper, we actually got real artists to draw real UI screens, and we were able to get more detailed feedback from users. And then a really crucial step for us, we created coded prototypes. So instead of bringing the users to us, we could take the game to users through email, and we were able to get email feedback, because we got feedback through every step of the development process, all the way up to shipping Ribbon Hero. One of the most important, or the most important breakthrough that we had in playtesting was this concept of challenges. And as you see here on the right-hand side, this is one of our early code prototypes for Ribbon Hero 1. And we had 3 ways that a user could score points. They could read the help documentation, they could watch the tutorial video, or they could play a challenge. And we instrumented this and released this internally, and we noticed that in the context of the game, everyone clicked on the challenge, and we had almost no clicks on the help documentation or the tutorial video. And this taught us that throwing points at users for doing a task they're already not compelled to do doesn't work, that we needed to fundamentally gamify the task, which we did through challenges. Another thing that our Microsoft Game Studio mentors taught us was the importance of polish in a game. With Ribbon Hero 2, we had an extensive polish milestone of about 3 months, and in comparison with how long it took us to develop the core parts of the game, that was very, very significant. And here we did things like, and I don't think this video is going to play either, unfortunately. Oh, it does. So we did things like add funny little animations. This is one of our game boards, the Middle Ages, where we have an arrow volley. We have 6 different levels, and we added fun little tweaks there. And we corrected little things, like made some images brighter or more entertaining. And we had an internal release of Ribbon Hero just before the polish milestone of about 1,000 users, and another release just after the polish milestone. And we changed, the changes were so small. We didn't change any of the challenges. We changed just really little things, but the difference in the feedback was huge by comparison. And it really did speak to us about how important the game experience is to how engaged people are in the game. And finally, learning and iterating was really important for our study of gamification. We released Ribbon Hero version 1 in March of 2010. And we got some really good user feedback, and we even got some press attention for the game. And in Office Labs, our goal is to learn about trends. So the products that we put out there are experiments, and we often instrument them to see anonymously to see how users are interacting with them. And Ribbon Hero was no exception. So when we looked at the usage data for Ribbon Hero 1, we noticed that we had user drop-off very, very early. So people would go through the trouble of downloading and installing and opening the game, but then they would only play 2 or even 1 challenge, or maybe even no challenges. But the silver lining was we found that of the users who completed 2 challenges, they were really likely to go on and play 10 or more challenges. Kind of hooked them once they got to that point. So when we were looking at this data, we decided that there was a lot more that we could learn about gamification and building a good game. And so we funded Ribbon Hero version 2. This is our iteration phase. And there's a couple things that we changed. First, we added levels. Ribbon Hero 1 gave you all of the challenges in a list up front. But for Ribbon Hero 2, we, instead of, and that, having a list of 30 challenges, that seemed kind of daunting. It seemed like it was too long before you made any progress in the game. So in Ribbon Hero 2, we broke up the challenges so that you completed about 7 challenges, and then you achieved something, you completed something, you leveled up. So we had these levels and colorful, engaging levels. And then we made a big bet. We bet that the challenge idea was successful because users who played at least 2 challenges continued on to play a lot more challenges. But we said that it's the game itself that wasn't engaging. So we have to amp up the fun in the game. So we did this in a couple different ways because different things are fun to different people. So the first thing we added was a narrative. And we used Clippy as the main character, if anyone remembers Clippy. Yes. And this had, it was pretty powerful with some people. For some people, it made them definitely want to play, and for other people, it made them definitely not want to play. But the narrative was something that we were able to use to catch people at the very beginning, and we were able to continue the story in between the levels to give them a little reward for having leveled up and made that progress in the game. We also added themes. So in our story, Clippy is traveling through time in a time machine, which makes sense. And he visits 6 different time periods, and we were able to build the game board around that time period, and then have challenges that were themed to the same time period. So here we have the Middle Ages, and I have a challenge, Knights versus Dragons. Oh, it's not going to play. All right, I had a movie here, but we also added sparkle. So like the arrow volley that was that I showed you in a video for the Middle Ages, we added fun little animations to each level. On our future level, we have a spaceship abducting a cow. On the Egypt level, we have some really fun animations that are going on in the sky. So we added just things to make people smile. We also animated Clippy in the top left-hand corner of the game board. Different things to to add to the user's experience. So we released Ribbon Hero 2 at the end of May 2011, and so we're just starting to get the feedback and get the user data and analyze it. But so far, we've gotten some really powerfully positive user feedback, and some really great reviews in blogs and in the press. And I really attribute this to two things mainly. One is I think we took a much bigger bet on a cool trend, an exciting trend of gamification with Ribbon Hero 2 than with 1. When you compare the two, Ribbon Hero 1 kind of looks more like a productivity tool with game-like aspects, versus Ribbon Hero 2 is definitely a game, for better or worse. So I think people got really excited about the idea that we're pushing the envelope, but we still kept that big, lofty productivity goal that we had in version 1. And then also, we've just seen that games have the power to excite people. And so many more people proactively came and gave feedback, and the feedback was a lot stronger. So as I said, we're still getting the early usage data and analyzing it. But since I talked to you a little bit about what happened with Ribbon Hero 1, I wanted to share some of the early data that we're seeing with Ribbon Hero 2. So one of the big reasons we did version 2 was to attack that early user drop-off, was to engage users and get them to play through those 2 challenges with the hope that Ribbon Hero 2 is as sticky once they play 2 challenges to keep users in the game. Well, how do we do? So far, the users completing at least 2 challenges has doubled. So that's really big for us. And then, is it sticky? So not only are we engaging more people, are we keeping them? Well, yes. So the people who are going through and playing 10 or more challenges has also doubled. So this just means we built a better game, and it's more engaging in keeping users in the experience. We've also tried to start gauging the value that users see in Ribbon Hero. Why are they playing? And we had an online survey where we asked a subset of our users a number of questions about the experience. And one of them was the response was that 80% agreed that Ribbon Hero is a great way to get familiar with the new version of Office. So we thought that was really strong. The same group said that 70% agreed that they will recommend Ribbon Hero to a friend or colleague. So we think that we have a lot of things that we will be able to learn about gamification from Ribbon Hero 2, and we're excited to keep getting that data and keep doing that analysis. So our key takeaways for gamification were to gather expertise, not only in the problem that you're trying to solve, but really investing in learning about game design. Really spending that time and allocating that time to brainstorm. I think if we had stopped brainstorming after week 1 and just went with the ideas we had, I wouldn't be speaking here today. It was extremely valuable to keep going and really explore the space. Most importantly, testing everything with users. It's very hard to tell what is fun when you're working on it 12 hours a day, so it's really important to get that from users. And then once you find that fun, converge on that and use that. Finally, leaving time for a polished milestone we thought was very, very effective and added a lot to the success of Ribbon Hero. And finally, for us, learning from version 1 and having the opportunity to iterate and put out a version 2, I think will really change how we view success for gamification. Now, if you're interested and want to do your own demo of Ribbon Hero, you can download it at ribbonhero.com. And then I think I'm taking questions here, but if you wanted to add any questions or wanted to talk with me offline, this is my email address. Thank you. Yes.
You might want to repeat something in your meetings. So that polish step sounds like was really important. Was that really difficult for you guys to agree internally to do the polish step? Like compare it to say like an agile software design process? Or you just want to throw it out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question was the polish step. Was it easy for us to get to agree internally as a team and maybe to get management buy-in on spending 3 months on a polish step? And it was something that the team Just trying to think back. It was something that was pretty easy to get buy-in from management. We explained that polish was a really important part of game design, and we had a lot of support from Microsoft Game Studios because that's something that they put at the end of every game they develop. So it was pretty easy to say that, hey, if we're building a game, we need to do a polish step. But you're right. Those work items are definitely the things that often get dropped from other types of software. Are there any other questions? Yes.
So you've had success now in applying gamification, helping people learn about the products. Has there been any discussion of applying gamification to the products themselves?
So the reason that we wanted to explore gamification was not simply to answer the question of how to teach people Office, but really was to explore gamification. How does it work? And so we are definitely going to take our learnings from Ribbon Hero and apply it widely to the entire productivity space. But I don't have an application right now to talk about, but that's definitely on our radar. Is there anything else? Yes. I definitely used PowerPoint for my presentation. Didn't work. Currently Ribbon Hero only works on the PC. But Office Labs doesn't produce products per se. We produce experiments, and so the purpose of us putting things out to the public is only to get users, and not necessarily as something that's branded an Office product. Yes. Ribbon Hero? Yeah. Well, we had a number of internal releases, and this is actually released to the public, but it hasn't been deployed by Microsoft IT on every computer. Internal Microsoft employees can download it at will. Was that your question? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm missing the back too.
It took you from kind of thinking about the concept to developing Hero 1 and what type of resources you had to put in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started the idea of gamification in 2009, and our first release was in 2010. And for Ribbon Hero 2, it took us about the same time, about another year, because Ribbon Hero 2 was released in May of 2011. We started off with a team of 2 people, a program manager and a developer, and it fluctuated a bit up to 7, but I would say our average was around 4 people, a program manager, 3 developers, and then about half of a designer. Yes?
Yeah, in this game research that were there any gender differences observed among players?
That's a really good question. The question was about gender differences between players. And unfortunately, as far as large amounts of usage data, since the data we collect is anonymous, we don't know the difference between genders for playing our public releases. As far as our internal releases, I didn't see a big difference in gender. I saw much more of a big difference in whether users saw a direct application. So the people who got most excited in our usability studies were people who were responsible for teaching others about Office. So teachers, people who in their organization were teaching other people about Office, those, and male and female. Anything else? Am I missing anyone in the back? Okay, thank you.